we're going to let some more people join for the next few minutes before we officially start. But let me know in the chat, where would you like your marriage to be 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now? If you could have it anyway, where would you really love for your relationship to be? And then let me know in the chat where you guys are joining from today. As I mentioned just here a little bit ago, I'm in sunny Colorado. We've got some rainstorms coming through though. So if you hear like lightning and thunder, that's what's going on. I also have 8 kids here at home. And so there may be some background noise from that as well. And I was also mentioning that we just got 21 baby chicks and 8 ducklings, but they're far enough away that they shouldn't be causing any disruptions right now. So that's awesome. I hear Anthony saying he wants reconciliation. You want to be talking again? Beautiful. And welcome to everyone who's joining me now. Let me know in the chat where you're joining me from and what would you really love to see in your marriage 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. Your goal is to regain trust, keeping your marriage from ending. We just decided on separation, currently approaching divorce 4+ years post-betrayal. Really looking to regain a connection and save our relationship for us, not just for our 2 sons. All right. Toronto, and obviously reconciliation. Yes, then you are in the right place. But go a little bit deeper there for me, okay? What does that actually look like? What does that feel like? When you come home at the end of the day, what is the look on your spouse's face? How do you feel in your body? How do you feel as you lay down to go to sleep at night? How do you feel when you wake up in the morning? How you can concentrate at work now and you just feel like this huge weight lifted off your shoulders. Like, get a little more detailed, a little more specific there with me, okay? Awesome. You feel great. I just want to be nervous at home. Awesome. Welcome, Jamie from Indiana. Reconciliation, canceling divorce, but down to 5 weeks. Okay, time's ticking. Oh, goodness. And that's my motivational alarm going off right now. As if we need any motivation right now. I think we're doing good. Husband coming home, loving me like he used to. Connection, no more arguments and worries. Indiana, welcome. Jessica, Grant, Leah, Anna. I see all your comments here coming in. Dennis, Haley. Awesome. So welcome. And let's get started officially. I'm going to hit record so I can send you guys all the replay. Awesome. So officially, welcome here to our masterclass. My name is Heather Choate. I am the co-owner and co-founder of High Thrive Coaching. I'm going to turn my video on. There we go. Hello, beautiful people. And we founded this company over 7 years ago because not only had we overcome some pretty extreme challenges in our own marriages, meaning my marriage with my husband, Ben, and my business partner, Mark, is married with his husband, Jen. And we found that more and more couples are getting divorced, and we wanted to change that. And so we set out to find the world's best process to actually stop a divorce and save a marriage. And we have now successfully helped over 15,000 couples do exactly that. And so I'm going to share with you today this proven process and these different phases of a marriage reconciliation so that you can turn your relationship around. It's radically different from traditional therapy or really anything else out there. If you feel like I've tried everything, I'm doing everything I can think of and nothing is working, you're not alone. What you need to know is what I'm going to share with you today, because that is going to be the game changer. So this is our 3 phases to stop divorce and attract your spouse back to you. That word attract is very, very important. We never want to coerce or manipulate or kind of trick your spouse with some like hack to try to get them back. That stuff's bogus. That's outdated and it won't work. What we want them to do is to want to be with you, to want to talk with you, to want to work on the relationship, and to eventually become an even better spouse for you, and to create a new, better, healthy, and functional marriage. Who wants that? Let me know in the chat if that is what you are here for, that you want to not only stop divorce, but you want your spouse to want you and to create a new, healthy, and functional marriage. Leave a comment right now, put it in the chat, say, me, I do, yes. All right, awesome. I can see your comments pouring in. Beautiful. And that is what I want as well. And that is what we help our clients create every single day. Yes, that sounds ideal. Awesome. All right. Now, as we do the masterclass today, I want this to be a dialogue, not just a monologue. And the best way to do that is for you guys to use the chat. And I'm going to do some exercises with you. And I want you to weigh in on where you are at with things, because the more you can let me know, and our team here with Diego is helping in the chat. So thank you, Diego. The more that you go deeper into those things, the more we can help you get the solutions that you need. Who here is like, I needed them yesterday. I wish I found you like 6 months ago. Don't worry. Even if you feel like it's too little too late, I'm going to show you how even the most dire circumstances still have been able to successfully turn around. Sound good? All right, awesome. So what will you discover today? You're going to learn what to say, what to do, what to text, and again, those actions to take to get your spouse to stop pulling away from you anymore. The one thing that you're probably doing right now that is actually backfiring, and you may not even know it. How to flip the script and get your spouse to want to be with you. I'm talking like eager, craving, chasing after you. How good would it feel to have your spouse chase after you? Who here feels like I'm doing all the chasing here? It would be great to feel like they were chasing after me. That is what we help you do. Flip that script. So they're the one taking steps towards you. They're the one inviting you on dates and taking action in this relationship to have it go in a good direction. And of course, how to avoid $30,000 or more in divorce fees while keeping your marriage intact. In fact, it will be better than it ever was. That is what we'll help you do today. So who are we? You may know us. You may have never heard of us before, but my name is Heather Choate. And 8 years ago, Mark and I came together to create High Thrive Coaching because we knew that something needed to change. Like I mentioned, these divorce rates have been increasingly on the rise, right? It's interesting to me that while divorce rates are on the rise, so is all the information out there, right? We've got all these self-help books, these podcasts, all of this information claiming to have the solution, and none of it's working. So we saw that because none of this is working, we wanted to create a scientifically proven process. And we've distilled it down to 4 steps so that you can stop divorce and flip that script so your spouse is the one chasing after you. All right. Not only have we used this exact method in our own marriages, I've been married 17 and a half years with my husband, Ben, and Mark has been married 18 years with his wife, Jennifer. And this has not only saved our marriages when they were really struggling, but now we are the most sought after marriage experts in the world. We are best-selling authors. We've been recorded on over 150 podcast episodes and have a Facebook group of over 40,000 members. And we are here to show you how you too can turn your marriage around. So who is this training for? Let me know in the chat. And if you're here on Zoom with me, I'm going to launch a poll and let me know, what is your situation? Are you couple A, where your spouse is wanting a divorce? Maybe they're wanting separation. Maybe you're currently separated. Maybe they're unwilling to work on the marriage. They say, I'm done, it's over. Are you couple B? Your spouse is having an affair, maybe multiple affairs, or you have had multiple affairs. Trust has been broken. Or couple C, where your spouse won't talk with you about the marriage. They won't open up to you. They do not want to communicate. They're not wanting to understand you or see where you are coming from. So let me know in this poll over here. I see you guys weighing in. Thank you. And I see a lot of your comments coming in as well. Awesome. Yeah, some of you are saying I'm both A, B, and C. I'm couple C. I'm all of the above, and that's fine. Just try to choose the one that feels like the biggest problem that you're facing right now. All right. Thank you guys for weighing in. Let me share the results. Wow, this one's really interesting to me. I do these masterclasses every week, and I've done them for years and years, and I've never seen them so like even before. So that's fun. Well, not fun that you guys are dealing with all problems, but just an interesting combination here of challenges. So 36% of you are saying divorce filed, 29% of you no trust affairs, and 36% of you no communication. All right, thank you guys for sharing. So because we have a very kind of like evenly mixed group here, I'm going to do my best to go deep into each one of these, and my intention is to give you solutions so that you can solve this problem that you're facing right now. In fact, I want to give you steps that you can take in the next 24 hours to start to immediately see some positive results in your relationship. Sound good? Yeah. All right, let's do it. So let's dive into these phases. The reason why I'm calling them phases, we used to call them steps. And yes, there are steps that you can take. However, we realize that there needs to be this like overarching journey of a relationship being reconciled. And you need to know where you're at so that then you can take the right action steps to move forward. So in phase 1, we call this the assessment phase. And this is where you know what's really going on in your relationship, what's really going on with your spouse, and what to do about it. See, one of the biggest mistakes that we see people making is that most people do not know why their spouse is even thinking of leaving. In fact, more than half of the people we talk to each week aren't really certain why their spouse is wanting out. At least they don't have that answer with much accuracy. They're just kind of guessing, or they're believing what their spouse is saying. What their spouse is saying, we call that the narrative or the story that they have about you. So let me know in the chat, what do you think is your spouse's narrative or their story about you? This could be like, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. It could be like, I'm not happy here. You always say you'll change, but nothing ever really changes. Or I see that you're changing. I don't trust the changes. Or I'm in love with someone else, right? I'm done. It's over. I want a divorce. I'm not happy here. What do you think your spouse's story is? I'm going to go to the chat here. He feels disrespected. He can't go over the affair. Finally, facing it from years ago. They can't trust me and they think I'll cheat again. Yeah. Okay. I got your, 4 weeks after she announced the divorce desire, she went into minute detail on why she wanted the divorce, all the complaints, invalidating, emotional abuse. Yeah. All of these. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I'm done arguing. She says, I've never been the person I want to be. Always your way. Nothing will ever change. You're controlling. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. She feels dominated and emotionally abused. Yeah. And sometimes we even see that they might be falsely accusing you of things, right? Sees the changes, but doesn't trust the changes. Says she's done. They can't trust me in basic things because of my ADHD. Okay. So a lot of different stories here. So my friends, you are not alone. All of us here, we have a spouse that has a story or a narrative about us. And they've created this story over the past weeks, months, sometimes even years. And they're doing this either to A, protect them from pain, or B, justify or excuse what they're doing. Because they know it's painful and they may know that it's actually not even like founded on truth. So they're using this as like weaving some kind of a justification or an excuse so they don't have to feel so bad or guilty about what they're doing and they can continue to do it. Make sense? Now, here comes the big mistake, is that we're taking their story at face value. Their story is just the symptom of what's really going on. And their behavior, even the affairs, the addictions, the very drastically different behavior that they're in right now, is a symptom. And so what we want to do is uncover the root issue that's creating that symptom. What happens when we're looking at the symptom, when we're looking at their destructive behavior or unhealthy behavior or hurtful behavior, when we're listening to the things that they're saying, is that we tend to try to dive into the situation. And we do it without taking time to plan or even knowing what the real problem is. And this is a mistake. It makes sense though. So many of you are like, yeah, I am kind of just going into action. I'm just trying to solve things. I'm just jumping in, trying to take, action to make things better. And I get where that's coming from, because most people, you see your marriage in trouble and you want to do something about it. You go into some of that fight, flight, or freeze mode. You go into wanting to solve things out of desperation. The problem is that if you try to work on yourself, if you go to therapy, get advice from friends, family members, your pastor, your bishop, whatever, read self-help books, listen to podcasts, etc. All of those things may seem fine, but what happens is that your spouse pulls further and further away and you exhaust yourself, even trying to get them back, right? And when your spouse continues to put up resistance, then you see it as not working and you think, there must be no hope at all. I've already tried everything I can think of and nothing is working. Does that sound familiar? Let me know in the chat. Do you feel like you're trying all of these things and nothing is working? In fact, your spouse is pulling further away. Jamie says, yes. Grant says, oh yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Yes. Jessica says, Stephen, yes, yes. Haley, yes. Nothing is working. So my friends, I would like to propose here that while your efforts may be well-meaning, you might be putting the wrong solution to the wrong problem. All right. And we need to uncover what the real problem is so we can find the right solution. So that's exactly what I do, right? So the problem isn't your lack of effort or trying, right? The problem is that you're working really hard at applying a solution for the wrong problem, and you don't actually know what's going on or what the correct solution even is. So we need to understand what is going on underneath the surface. The reality is that in most cases, we need to have some better understanding of what is going on underneath the surface. So instead of trying to do it yourself, instead of trying to guess at the solution and exhaust yourself with all of these things that do not work and will never work, wouldn't it be great to know exactly what is going on in your marriage and have them want to be with you? Would that be great? Instead of guessing and trying to solve it yourself, you actually know what's going on in your relationship, how to solve it, and have your spouse want to be with you. Of course, yes, 100%. Isn't your marriage important enough not to risk the chance of failing to get this right? Think about that for a minute. Isn't your relationship important enough to not risk this? We cannot risk this. We cannot be haphazard about it. And we cannot just rush forward in fear and desperation, because we know where that's going to lead you. We need to get this right. Personally, my story, I was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer while I was pregnant at the age of 29. So I'm pregnant and I have aggressive hormonal type cancer. The hormones of the pregnancy were feeding the hormone of the cancer. The doctors told me to abort her to save my life. I listened to my own intuition and I said, no, I'm going to keep my baby and I'm going to save my own life. I could not afford to get that wrong. I could not just do it myself. I could not throw it up to chance or just pray and hope that God would somehow make it work. Yes, I'm a woman of faith. However, I know that God wants us to take action. I could not afford to get this wrong, and neither can you. If this relationship matters enough to you, you have to get this right. And I'm here to show you how you can do that, just like I did with finding the top expert in the world that knew how to help save me and my baby. And it took action and it took this whole entire process, but we got to that solution. We got to that result that we wanted. So that is what we're going to help you guys do with this deep marriage assessment, okay? Because you do not want to risk getting this wrong, we have to accurately diagnose exactly what's going on in your relationship, just like I had to have an accurate diagnosis of what was going on when I had cancer, right? That is why we do this deep assessment of your marriage. Now, I want you to know it is not your fault that you haven't been able to solve this on your own. Almost no one can. That is why it is so important to have guidance from an expert so that you know what will work and what will not. One of my favorite sayings is you cannot read the label when you're inside the bottle. We are all inside the bottle of our own marriage. We're so close to it that we cannot see it for what it really is. And that is why it takes someone from the outside who knows how to read the label on your bottle to diagnose what's really going on and prescribe the exact treatment plan to get you to the result that you want. So let me know in the chat, do you want your marriage assessed by an expert? In fact, I will leave a link right here where you can go ahead and book a completely free, it's not the link. I got the wrong link. Goodness sake. Okay, I will get the link right now. That's the right link. Boom. All right, it's in the chat. This is our Calendly link where you can book a completely free marriage assessment with us. This is where we will read the label on your bottle. We will diagnose exactly what's going on and prescribe the treatment plan that you need to get to the positive result that you want in your relationship. Sound good? So go ahead and grab that free assessment right there. All right. Now, after you have done the assessment, then we go on to the narrative and call number 2, and then into our kickoff day. This is vital that we do this entire process so that we know what the problems really are and what the correct solutions are. All right, awesome. So I want to show you just how scientific we have made this restoration process, okay? Based on where you are, we determine the proper solution and action steps to move you forward. And this is how we look at it. So we look at things in this way. We decide which of these categories does your relationship fall into. We talked about the story, right? Which is the belief that your spouse has about you. Then we also look at the actions that are happening in the relationship. Are they pulling away? Are they dysfunctional? Are they telling lies about you? Are they refusing to talk to you, right? Are they pushing for divorce? At what speed are they pushing for divorce? We assess all of these different layers and we look at it. Is there negative, destructive action and behavior and a negative story? That's going to be where most of you are going to start. Agreed, right? Most of you have a negative story and negative action happening right now in your relationship. Some of it may be a little bit stalled. Maybe your spouse isn't actively pulling away right now, so the action is kind of neutral, but they have this negative story. Or could their action even be a negative action, but a positive story, right? Could they actually have a positive story, but still have some of these negative behaviors and actions lingering? So we really customize this to exactly where you are at in your relationship. And that will determine how we move forward. Does that make sense? It's a very scientific process. In fact, it's like totally proprietary. We just put this together in the last 6 months after years and years and years of helping thousands of clients. And we found that this is where we need to know exactly where you're at so that we can show you how to move forward. So we do that. We say, where is your spouse at, right? Let's say that maybe they have a negative story and negative action. That should be a negative story, negative action. And then we look at it, how are they determined with divorce, right? Yes, they are determined to go forward with divorce. How determined are they? No, they're not really determined. Are they hot and cold? Those two situations, my friends, need to be handled very differently. If we have one couple that their spouse is steamrolling for divorce, right? They're trying to push this thing to happen as fast as possible versus someone that's kind of hot and cold. They want to talk to you and then they pull away. We call it the teeter-totter effect. Those situations require very different treatment plans. And that is what we help you with. We show exactly where you are at and what are the next steps that you need to take. We do this so that you will know that every action that you are taking, every text message that you send, we give you feedback on what to text them, how to have in-person conversations. Every single conversation, action, and moment that you have with your spouse, you know it is moving you in the right direction. You guys see how powerful that is? All right, awesome. So how does this work in reality with real people, real couples just like you? So this client shared, my husband has put on his wedding band. I never knew how much I missed seeing that on his finger. And so she had a husband that was unwilling to work on the marriage with her, took the wedding ring off for months and months, would barely even talk to her. And she went through this exact process. In the assessment phase, we uncovered exactly why her spouse wouldn't talk to her, what his story and his belief was, how we could interrupt some of those patterns, which we're going to go into in the next little bit, so that he would consider the possibility of staying and being happy with her. And going through this process, she knew what problems she needed to solve. And we showed her how to solve the right problems in the right order so that we can get positive momentum in the relationship to the point where he put his wedding ring back on and he took steps towards her. He started pursuing her. We flipped that script. Okay. So now let's go into phase 2. Now that we've already done the assessment, we know exactly where you are at. We have rated you and know exactly, do you have negative action and a negative story? No worries. We know exactly what to do. Do you have kind of that hot and cold action and maybe a hot and cold story? Cool. We're going to put you right here on this track. We know exactly what to do, right? To change that story inside your spouse. Before they're able to let the story go, there's the resistance phase, which is why we have phase 2. I think this is absolutely brilliant. And it's really shifted things for our clients ever since we've implemented this exact process. Here's where we're going to embrace their resistance as actually part of the process. Let me know in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, how resistant do you feel your spouse is to you right now? Okay, we'll say that 1 is they're like not resistant at all, 10 being they're totally resistant. Think about that like donkey that's got its heels dug into the dirt and it's like, I'm not going anywhere. Okay, on that scale of 1 to 10, how resistant is your spouse right now? How resistant are they to working on the relationship with you? How resistant are they to talking with you about the relationship or talking with you at all, right? Let me know in the chat. I'm seeing 7, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 10, 9, 10, 5, 6, 8, a 20. Whew, okay. But they're still in the picture. So it's, yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. 10, 6-ish. Okay, we talk about minor stuff all the time. All right. Thank you guys for weighing in on that. So even if you got the level 10, even a level 20 type spouse, we want to make sure that we embrace that resistance. May sound really weird, very unconventional, goes against the grain, goes against probably what you're even wanting to hear, but I'll show you why. First, before I go into that, what do most people do when their spouse is resistant? What do you do when your spouse is resistant? Maybe they go into stonewalling, they shut you out, they go cold on you, silent treatment. Maybe they're very angry and volatile and blaming you and accusing you of all these things, right? And that's resistance too. We've got active resistance and kind of passive resistance, but they're not wanting to cooperate with you. They're not wanting to work with you, right? So what do most people do? They panic and they shut down. Yeah. Sometimes they go into freeze mode. They don't know what to say, what to do, so they end up doing nothing, right? Ghosting, they cry, yes. Lots of tears, lots of heartbreak. I get anxious and plead, but I mostly freeze. All right, thank you guys for sharing. Beg, plead, yeah, that's what they do at first, yes, exactly. Pursue him more, keep pushing to talk to me, he's ghosting me, begging. I just go along as if nothing's wrong. Okay, now you do that, gotcha. Yeah, okay. So that is exactly what most people do. So let me share with you guys our push versus pull method here. And these are some very common mistakes that most people make when their spouse is being resistant, when they're pulling away from them, when they say, I want a divorce, I want out, I'm not happy here, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, okay? And I'll be the first to raise my hand and say, I have done every single one of these. So you're not alone. And most people I talk to, in fact, I've never talked to anyone that hasn't done at least one of these. So let's go through them. Give up. And that's not you because you're here. And that is a huge thing to say about you. I honor you for being someone that's like, I'm still willing to see what I can do here. I'm still willing to try. I'm still willing to see if it's possible. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, right? But oftentimes you get to this point, you're like, well, they don't want to work with me. They don't want to talk with me. What else can I do? It takes 2 to tango, and they give up. Or they do what a lot of you guys talked about. They push for commitment or connection too soon, and that backfires. They might demand that their spouse talk to them, demand they go to therapy, demand that they work on the marriage, demand they do it for their vows and their kids and their religion or whatever, right? Or they manipulate. I'll take the kids from you if you do that. I'll go be, if you go have that affair, I'll go do whatever I want with whoever I want, right? Or you'll pretend that someone at work is interested in you, or you'll pretend that someone on social media is like interested in you to make them jealous. So they'll see what everything that they're going to miss and they'll want you back, right? We do these things. They're not pretty. I've done them. It's not pretty. I'm not proud of it. Begging, pleading, acting out of desperation. A lot of you guys talked about that, right? You beg, you please don't go. Please don't leave me. Please, 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 I'm begging you. Sometimes you freeze. You don't know what to do. You're afraid of doing the wrong thing. Maybe you've done the wrong thing in the past. You don't want to make it worse. you end up doing nothing. Maybe you blame your spouse for everything, or maybe they blame you for everything. And maybe you blame yourself for everything. These are some very common mistakes. So let me know in the chat, which of these have you made? Are you making? Which of these do you feel like most people make? Let me know over in the chat. Definitely the begging, pleading, acting out of desperation, total freeze mode, all at different times, begging, pleading, freezing, begging, trying to honor his wants, but I blame myself too, begging, pleading. I'm guilty of all of it. Same with me. I've done them all. Yeah. You're not alone, friends. We've done all of these, right? Trying to convince with logic. Yeah. Begging, now freezing. So we do these things, right? A little of all of it, begging, pleading, appealing to our vows. So all of these only push your spouse further away. They only backfire, or they're very ineffective. Now, one of the interesting things is oftentimes we think that we're doing the right things by working on ourselves, trying to meet all their needs, sending her flowers, sending her text messages. But this can often be going back to the first point there with the assessment phase. You might be applying a good solution to the wrong problem. It might be a good solution for someone else at a different phase in their relationship. That might be the best thing they could do. And so you hear that advice and you're like, oh, I'm going to do that. And it might be the absolute worst thing that you could do. Absolute worst thing. Send her text messages and she's told you to stop and you keep sending them. What signal is that telling your spouse? It's telling her you're not listening. You're not respecting her. It's going to push her away more. You cannot risk getting this wrong. That is why you need to know that every single action you take is moving you in the right direction. Make sense? All right. What do we do instead? Love that question, Jessica. Let's go into it. So right here, instead of trying to make your spouse, oh my gosh, your spouse be less resistant, we're actually going to use that resistance to our advantage. We know they're already resistant. So stop trying to change that about them. And I'll show you why, okay? So why are we even seeing this resistance in the first place, right? We're seeing resistance because if the relationship has gotten to the point where there is consideration of leaving, then they don't have much trust in change, right? If they don't have much trust in the change, then the resistance is there as a way for your partner to protect themselves or to justify what they're doing, right? And we actually do not want to get in the way of that and take that resistance away right now. So I know at the beginning, I said, would you love for your spouse to chase after you? And we will get you there, but not yet. If you try to solve problems in the wrong order, you're going to get poor results. You have to solve problems in the right order. So instead of trying to make your spouse want to talk to you, we're actually going to let them not want to talk to you. And we'll show you how by just giving them that permission to have that resistance lowers the resistance. Isn't that weird? It does. If I say, okay, I see you really don't want to do this. It's okay. We don't have to do this. Then they're like, oh, right? What happened to the stubborn donkey? If you loosen the slack on the line, you're like, it's okay. You can be resistant. I give you permission. It's okay. I understand why you feel that way. What happens to the resistance? It starts to dissipate. Okay. It starts to set that process of lessening, which is exactly what we want to see here in the resistance stage. So the resistance stage is not meant to see immediate changes in the relationship. I know you want to get there, but we have to solve these problems in order. And it's going to take some time and consistency. And we guide you through exactly how to do that. So you're not left to your own self to try to make it all happen, right? The changes come as we go slow at first and then start to get the positive momentum that then starts to accelerate that momentum. Okay. So it is not meant to get you and your partner back together right at this moment. It's not. It took time for these problems to develop. It took time for these issues to become to the point where they are. All right. And so you need to recognize that it's not going to happen overnight, right? It is, however, critical to creating some lasting healing here. So what is the main focus point of the resistance stage? Again, this scientific process that we have. This is the building up of a new narrative. This is done through communication and actions consistent with what you're trying to build for your relationship. This is where we start to shift the story or belief that they have about you. Let's give some examples here. Hopefully you can see this. It's kind of small. Let me see if I can zoom in. Oh, look at that. That was so, oh, my boys would be proud of me. I've got teenagers. They'd be proud of me. I just did that technical thing right there. All right. So let's say that your spouse is saying, I've been hurt and I can't have emotional side of things with you anymore. I can't let you hurt me anymore. Right. And so the other side of that story would be, I trust you and I want to have emotional connection with you. That is the story or the narrative that we're going to shift your spouse into having. And as we do that, we're going to encourage you with your words and your actions to open up, to have some gentle encouragement of your spouse sharing more. When they start to share, I really appreciate that you shared that with me. It feels really good to be able to talk about this in a safe way. We're going to interrupt some of those patterns, okay? Because there's patterns that have been taking place in your relationship that has built up this resistance and this story, this negative belief that they have about you. And so we're going to shift that belief or that story with words and actions so they start to see you for who you really are. They start to see the possibility of being happy with you in the marriage. They start to see that they actually want to talk with you, that they want to be with you. Okay, let's give another example. Let's say that your spouse is really struggling to let go of what happened in the past. I'm bringing this one up especially because I saw several of you talking about affairs from the past and how you hurt them in the past, and maybe your spouse is really struggling to let go of that. So what we want to do is show them that they can be safe with you. I'm safe with you. I trust you. I feel really good with you. I know that we're good together, right? And we're going to do that by building up feedback and building better positive regard towards your spouse, okay? And so that is exactly what we help you do. We take whatever your spouse's specific story or belief about you is, and we flip that around to the opposite side, to the positive story, right? The positive narrative, and combine that with action and consistent communication and action that's going to help create that new belief in your spouse. All right, zooming back up. Making sense? Okay. Go into the chat here for a little bit. All right, let me know. Is this landing with you guys? Because this is really, really important that you don't risk getting this wrong, that we absolutely get this right. So again, let's go into another example here. Maybe that will really help clarify it. So maybe they're saying, you haven't been emotionally supportive of me for years. Then we're going to do what we call a home message. My partner, Mark Johnston, created this. He coined this phrase. It's like copyrighted, proprietary stuff. Home message, okay? The home message is the new message about the new story or the new belief, which would be, I am emotionally supportive of you, right? What we're going to do with our actions is like express some empathy and some validation when your spouse expresses emotions. Why does this work? Well, initially, this creates that pattern interrupt, which gets your spouse's attention. So they consider the possibility of being happy with you, the possibility of talking with you more, the possibility of wanting to work on this with you. And then over time, it's going to shift their old narrative from a negative one of you and the relationship, where they're resistant to the changes, resistant to you. They're going to shift that to knowing that these changes are real and believing this new narrative, so they want to be with you. Okay. So we're going to, again, express empathy and validation when our spouse expresses emotions, and that will shift this narrative. So why this works. Oh, I already shared that with you guys just right now. So where do you guys think most people get stuck here? Where do most people get stuck in all of this? See what the chat is. You would validating. Yeah, what can be done to rebuild trust? Is there time restriction for healing? Well, I'll answer that here in a little bit. If I can't get to it live, then I'll do it in the follow-up. Okay. Yeah, you're stuck in the friend zone. Gotcha. So what happens is that many people, like, we lose heart, right? When your spouse doesn't immediately respond with positivity. We try something new for just a little bit of time, and then we want immediate results. And like, we want to see it happen right away. And And then when that doesn't happen, then we think it's not working and we give up, right? We do that with diets. We do that with all kinds of things that we do, right? So many people, we make these short-term changes and then we don't follow through long enough to demonstrate real change for the relationship. And that's why it's vital that you follow through on the entire coaching process so that your spouse is naturally attracted to you again. It's not going to happen overnight. If anyone's telling you that, then you need to run, right? This is definitely going to be a process, but it works with time and consistency to go through it. So again, let's look at a real marriage, a real relationship. And this was shared with me. Hi, Heather. Good morning. I just want to thank you guys for letting me join, because we don't let everyone join, by the way. I got some much needed insight with my coach yesterday, and my hope is at a 10. Believe it or not, but after just a short 2 weeks of taking off the pressure, she is coming around more so than she has in the last 12 months. So that is what happens here. He was at this for 12 months. Some of you guys are like, I've been at this for like 3 or 4 years, right? Some of you are like, I've been at this for like 3 weeks, right? But he was at this for 12 months and nothing was working. Everything was backfiring, working on himself, going to therapy, trying to meet her needs. All the things were not working. Then he interrupted the pattern that he was in. For him, it was he was putting too much pressure on her and on the relationship. And so he interrupted that pattern. And then within 2 weeks of interrupting that pattern and taking the pressure off, it started to demonstrate a new narrative to her so that she started coming around more. She started coming after him. She started pursuing him. That is exactly what we will help you do too. We will identify what the pattern is that's preventing things from moving forward, that's making things get worse and worse and worse. We'll interrupt that pattern. We'll do a new, healthy, functional pattern, and they will start to come towards you. Now, phase 3 is where we go into the pause button. This is where they start to come towards you more. They start to agree to give you time and to make accommodations for the relationship. Now, maybe some of you at the beginning here, I'm talking about how we have to do the assessment and you guys have to start to change this new narrative, make this new narrative and do these actions. And you're like, Heather, what about them? Don't they need to do stuff for this relationship too? Yes, they do, but not at first. At first, it's all on you. It is. And I know that's not fair. And I know that that sucks, but that's the reality. Because if you are not willing and they are not willing, then you do not have a relationship. One unwilling, selfish, driven person and one unwilling, selfish, driven person, 1 + 1 of those does not equal a relationship. So you have to be willing to go first. And things are going to be unbalanced at first. And that's going to be okay. If you want to get there, it's going to have to start with you. But it doesn't stay that way forever. Okay, that's the good news. Here's where we start to bring a little more balance back into the relationship. One of the biggest mistakes, though, that we see people making is trying to resolve deep issues too soon. This is kind of the traditional therapy model. Why did the affair happen? Why aren't you happy? Why won't you stay with me? Right? Digging into all this stuff. And I understand where this is coming from. I have done this myself because you think, okay, if I just know why they're doing all these things and I can dig into all these things right now, then I can solve them. And if I can solve them, then they'll come back. Wrong. Not right now. Okay. Why doesn't this work right off the bat? The reality is that for most of you, if not all of you, your marriage is not strong enough to handle solving root issues right now. It's not. So one of the examples I like to give about this, and my computer's totally glitching, so sorry about that for a minute. It's like, imagine that a patient goes into the ER and they have a brain tumor and it needs to be operated on. It needs to come out. However, the patient comes into the ER and they are in cardiac arrest. What are the surgeons going to do? Are they going to go operate on the brain tumor, or are they going to stabilize the patient and stop the cardiac arrest? That is exactly what we need to do with you guys. We have to stabilize your relationship. We have to make it stable and strong enough, have a foundation of some stability here, right? Okay. Before we can go operate and work on the deep root issues. You do it too soon, that is not going to work. Your relationship is not strong enough. So we have to build in getting tongue-tied, some strength and stability into the relationship first. Okay. Now, Like I mentioned, as we go into this pause stage, this is where we begin the process of balancing things out a little bit and start making more requests from your partner. Now, remember, this is only possible if you're able to objectively point out where you have been making changes yourself. Otherwise, it is unlikely that you will get any amount of cooperation from your spouse, okay? All right, check in the chat. I'll keep answering as many of those as I can see. Awesome. Yes, Jessica, I'll get back to that. All right. So this is where, oh, yeah. So the pause stage is all about gaining some small amount of cooperation from your partner. This could look like we want a pause on the intense arguments. We want a pause on this really toxic behavior. We want a pause on all the bitterness. We want a pause to moving out of the house, a pause on separation. We want a pause on the divorce arguments, okay? Why don't we ask for more? Well, we want to make sure that the request being made is going to feel easy and safe for your partner to say yes to. Asking for too much, especially when there's been consideration of divorce, may feel overwhelming for the partner that's considering a way out. It can feel a whole lot less daunting and perhaps more considerate to simply put options to the side rather than eliminating those options completely. Again, remember, they want their resistance right now. They need it, and we're going to let them have it because it's going to go away at the right time. Just like the brain tumor is going to need to be operated on, but at the right time. So how does this work? Again, Kim shares, win tonight. My husband came and picked the girls up for his week with them, and we talked for almost 6 hours. We were both very open and honest. He wants to come back and work things out with me, but he's scared that the changes won't be permanent. One step at a time here. This is literally the best program I have ever tried. Thank you, Mark and Heather. So here he is in this stage that we call the teeter-totter effect, right? At the pause button. He says he wants to come back and work things out, but he's still a little scared, and that's okay. We're going to let him keep some of that fear, let him keep a little bit of that resistance, let him have that card in his back pocket for a little while until he trusts and knows that these changes are real, that he sees Kim for who she really is, that he loves her and he accepts her and he wants to work on this with her. And that's exactly what they did. All right, my friends. So what we learned today, you cannot guess at what will work. You must know what will work. And this can only be done properly through a marriage assessment where we read the label on your bottle. We diagnose what's going on, prescribe the exact treatment plan to get you where you want to go. We learn that resistance is normal and expected. So use it to your advantage so that you can interrupt that pattern between you and start to create a new positive narrative about the relationship that your partner will accept and believe, given that time and consistency, right? We also learned that problems must be resolved in order, and you must hit the pause button with your spouse so your relationship can become strong enough to resolve the root issues. From there, we go into solving those root issues. So this is just the beginning, right? We resolve those root issues so that these problems do not come back, and you are able to create that healthy, functional relationship that your spouse wants to be in with you. They want to become a better spouse for you. You want to be a better spouse for them. Things aren't perfect, but you're committed. You have trust, you have security, you have ease, and that absolute joy and fulfillment that you have between you. So now, my friends, you have two options. A, you can try to continue to go on your own. You can try to continue to figure out all of this on your own and continue to try to DIY it, or you can get our expert help. So if you want help with this, stick around and I'll show you the next step. If we work together, this is what we will do. If my slide will go. Come on. There we go. So if we work together, this is what we'll do. We will do that marriage assessment with you so you know what problems to solve and how to solve them, with expert one-on-one guidance on what to text them. how to have in-person conversations and what steps to take so your efforts don't keep backfiring, right? And you see positive momentum in your relationship. We'll craft a new positive narrative that will demonstrate to your spouse with action that these changes are real. So they will trust the changes and believe that new positive narrative. They will see you in a new light and love you and accept you for who you really are. That is why you're here. You want your spouse to see you with fresh eyes, to see you for who you really are, to love and accept you for who you really are, flaws and all. That's what I desire. My husband to love and accept me for who I am, flaws and all, to give each other that grace, that compassion, and that willingness to work things out, to solve problems, and to create a relationship that feels good, satisfying, freeing, and fulfilling to both of us. Awesome. So solve problems in order so that you know that every single action that you take with your spouse is moving you in the right direction. So I want you to imagine, my friends, how amazing you will feel to know exactly what to do, to have them come running after you and begging to be with you. Imagine how amazing that will be. Imagine what a relief it will be to have a step-by-step plan that takes all the guesswork out of it and the mistakes that you will suffer if you try to do this alone. No more crying, overanalyzing, ruminating, worrying, stressing, beating yourself up, losing sleep, begging them, and then crying even more. No more of that. Just the sweet, easy feeling of peace, knowing that you have now rekindled the romance between you, and you get to spend the rest of your lives together in security, ease, and passion. Just you and them together forever. So, my friends, what is that worth to you? If you could rate it on a scale of 1 to 100, how important is saving your marriage to you? Let me know in the chat. 100, 100, 100. Oh, I like that, Jamie. That was a fancy text. 100 if possible. Yes, Leah. Awesome. Of course, 100. Chris, 100, 1,000. Beautiful. 100, 100, 100. Very 100 exclamation mark. Love it, Zach. That's awesome. So the next step, my friends, is get on that free marriage assessment with us. Again, you cannot risk getting this wrong. So go to the top experts in the world that know how to solve this kind of a problem. So I'm going to put the link there in the chat again. Infinite. All right, let's get fired up. I like it, Zachary and David. Awesome. So here's the link, and I'm going to actually bring this over into my screen so you guys can see exactly what I'm seeing. So if you're watching the replay, you can click the link below in the email to get here as well. But everyone who's on here live, you guys get first dibs because you're here first. And these spots fill out extremely fast. Okay. The bad news is that we do have limited spots. You know, here we are on the 31st. Let's see what we got. You should, well, if it load, you know, you should see some times here in your own time zone. And we have times the next 3 days. So good news is if you're on with me live, you can go book your free session right now. Like, don't wait. Okay. I've got like 60-ish people on live. So you can see there's probably not 60-ish spots here. So go grab it. And then just so you know, I am emailing the replay of this out to our entire list, which is over 70,000 people. And our Facebook group will get it as well. And it's over 40,000 people. So these spots are going to fly. And if they are full, don't give up. Just come back in a few days and see if we've opened up some more. But encourage you to get on quickly, because just like I had cancer that was spreading through my entire body, your marriage may not have time. Your marriage may have very little time. And we do not want to squander or waste the time that we have. We want to know that we gave our marriage every chance possible to succeed. At least I do. I don't know about you guys. I'm assuming you do because you're listening here to me. You're joining here with me. You're talking with me about this, right? We don't want to live our lives with regret. So think about that. How do you want to look back at this time in your life 10 years from now, at the end of your life? Do you want to look back on it with like regret that you didn't learn from this challenge? that you just let the same painful cycles repeat themselves? We've all seen this happen, right? We have seen our loved ones, our friends go from one toxic, negative, bad relationship right into the honeymoon blissful stage of another one, right into the toxic, negative dysfunction over and over again. Meanwhile, children and families' lives are being ripped apart. It doesn't have to be that way. You can learn from this challenge. And I know that it is worth it to you because you are here. And I honor you for that. Because not only will this decision that you make to give your relationship everything that you can, and to learn and grow from these challenges, to become a better version of yourself, to learn the skills that you simply didn't have up until now, the skills on how to communicate, how to set healthy boundaries, how to create functional relationships. That will bless and benefit not only your life, but potentially your children's lives, your friends' lives, and generations to come. So you never know how the one simple choice that you're making right now will have an impact into generations to come. And that is a sacred responsibility to me. And I think it might be to you as well. So take it with care. Do not squander the time that you've been given. Choose to live your life with no regrets, and know that these challenges came to you for a reason. They're coming here to teach you, to help you grow, to overcome the challenges, not just go through them, because you can go through them and come out on the other side a more broken, bitter, heart-sick kind of person that's just full of more fear and anxiety and dysfunction. We've seen that happen, and you may have experienced that as well. Or you can overcome the challenges, become a better version of yourself, someone that is stronger, wiser, more capable, more loving, more forgiving, more joyful, more present, all of those things. That is what this challenge in your life is calling you to. So it's your choice if you want to accept it or not. So again, book the marriage assessment call. Do not wait, because we will help you read that label on your bottle. So you're not wondering what's going on. You're not guessing, is this the right solution? You're not listening to 15 different conflicting opinions and not knowing if anyone's going to work. All the while, everything you're doing is not working. No. Read the label on your bottle. Know what's really going on. Diagnose exactly what's happening in your relationship. Get that prescription for your relationship and the exact treatment plan that you need to get to the positive results. If you're wondering if there's hope, there's more hope than you realize. I was given a 5% chance at life, a 5% chance, 95% chance that I would be dead today. Not here with my 8 beautiful kids, not here with my husband, not here with our new baby chicks and 8 ducklings. Okay. I was supposed to be dead in the ground, but I didn't listen to that voice. I didn't listen to the doctors and experts and baby people in your life that are telling you, you should just move on. You should just give up. You've got to listen to what's inside you. And if you are the person that listens to what's inside you and you are committed to get there, then the way or the how is always going to show up. And so we are here to help you get to that result. Those are the kind of people that we work with. Now, no, we do not work with everyone. We do make sure that you are a good fit for this, that you are someone that is committed. That is the most important thing, that you know where you want to go and you are committed to getting there. If that is you, then we can't, we look forward to working with you on that. So book your free marriage assessment with us. Again, in that assessment, we're going to diagnose what's really going on in your marriage, so you aren't left guessing. We're going to read that label on your bottle. We're going to show you the next steps, prescribe the right treatment plan. I've already said this, I'm going to repeat it because I want to make sure it really gets in there, right? Explore if coaching is a good fit. We do not accept everyone. Spots are extremely limited. I was asked a question. I'm going to come back to it here real quick because I have a minute. I think it was Jessica was saying, what if we're fully divorced? And yes, we have helped people that are fully divorced. There are more challenges, and interestingly enough, a really interesting dynamic with that one. I'm just going to touch on this briefly, but there's less pressure to have the relationship work because you are already fully divorced. And so we've seen that because there's less pressure, there's oftentimes opportunity there for things to work out very, very well. I won't be able to know for sure until we do the deep marriage assessment, okay? Because I can't just see a couple blips of text here in the chat and know enough about your situation and your spouse, what their story, their belief is, what are the positive or negative actions going on to know. And so I'm never going to give that diagnosis from just what I see in the chat. That's why it's vital that you get on with one of our marriage coach experts here to get that diagnosis, so they will accurately be able to tell you if there's hope in this situation or not. All right. You have questions. Awesome. I love it. If you still have fear, it's okay. Lean into that. It's there for a reason. You want to know if it's going to work. We'll tell you exactly if we see if there's hope for your marriage or not. You have questions about how the program works. How much is it? Will it work with my budget? We will talk to you about all of those things and get all of your questions answered inside that marriage assessment. So after the assessment, you will know exactly what you need to do to move your relationship in the right direction. So make sure you book your call now. I honor you for coming. I honor you for being willing to look at your relationship, for being the people that are wanting to change. People are wanting to have more in their relationships and in their lives. My heart and my love and my appreciation goes out to you. And I cannot wait to see your marriage thrive. Thank you guys for joining, and we'll talk again very, very soon.